some people talk about the visuals of the movies. They say, it had some of the greatest visual images of any film, bar none, not just science fiction. Like the scene with Saturn, where Joan Baez is singing. He's walking through the domes.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites visually. I mean, what were some of the visuals that stuck with you?
I remember what stood out was sort of the industrial look of the sets. It seemed very real to me. The way that they had sort of aged, they had created this thing. There was nothing glamorous about this. Wasn't like Close Encounters wall of lights type of flying saucer or something. This was
super neat, super beautiful,
yeah,
like 2001 look.
Yeah, this is your 18-wheeler in space, your industrial tanker, submarine, something in it. So it had this grungy look.
Well, they used an aircraft carrier for the set.
Oh, really?
And they only changed about 10% of it. That's why they had that look.
That makes sense.
And it worked. They weren't trying to create that look so much as that it was just cheap and expedient.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of created that style by accident.
And they had vehicles that worked.
ATVs.
They had the drones, which I later learned were played by double amputees who were walking on their hands, I guess, throughout. So that was just amazing to learn. But watching the movie, you don't know that. The robots come across as real beings, like that they're actors somehow, and that was very impressive. The outside stuff, the model work, it was really good, even by today's standards. Some of the CG stuff today I don't like because I think it's the lighting just isn't there. It looks like it's not really there somehow, but the photography-based...
Yeah, if you don't mind me jumping in on this a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think that, too much money could hurt a movie as much as too little can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I looked at the special effects in Star Trek, the last Star Trek movie, with all the fires that they put on the explosions with the lasers and everything like that, and it just looked... It just looked phony to me.
Yeah.
It didn't work. It really bothered me as I'm watching it. I'm like, no, just do the minimal of what you need to get the shot and get out.
Yes.
They're putting more into a scene than what we need to get the emotional effect. And that stuff bothers me. You look at films like Silent Running, The Time Machine, before they had all this money and all this technology.
Yeah.
The special effects were much better because they were much more minimal. They did what you needed to get the effect, and they got out.
Yeah. The economy of Silent Running, I agree completely. And I understand the special effects team. Was the director of Silent Running
And he also did the special effects for it. He was also the special effects supervisor in 2001, though he didn't get credit for it.
Douglas Trumbull?
Douglas Trumbull, yes.
Okay.
They hired him because they wanted to save money. They're like, okay, instead of hiring a special effects guy and a director, we're just going to hire a director who knows special effects. And he's going to do both jobs for the same price.
So yeah, I understand
and and John Dykstra were his two assistants on that film.
Okay, I knew about Dykstra, but
they did Star Wars together.
Yeah.
And they did Blade Runner together.
Okay.
Trumbull didn't get credit on Star Wars, but I heard he worked on it actually.
So yeah, I would just say that the effects were very reminiscent to me of 2001, which I think was the one that came out, right before, a few years before, at 69 maybe. 68, and it reminded me very much of that, and there's a reason for that, of course. It was the same team that worked on that, and then went on to form ILM, I believe, or some of the guys.
Worked on ILM, some of them didn't.
John Dykstra and.
Yeah. Well, John Dykstra actually formed his own special effects group separate of ILM.
Was he the motion control guy? He invented those.
Yeah, he invented motion control for Star Wars.
Yeah. So they were in good hands with Silent Running. It was very it was functional, and it was at times it exceeded expectations for special effects.
Yeah. If you were to grade the movie, would you give it an A, B, C, D, or F?
I would have to give it an A minus. I would give it 4.5 out of 5 stars type of thing. My only criticisms would be that the name, what was the lead character's name?
Freeman Lowell.
Freeman Lowell played by Bruce Dern, his sort of switch into madness, if you will, happened rather quickly, and you almost the other characters are sort of incidental, but we never get a chance to really care about them. And so that was one thing they might have done, was to flesh out these characters a little more. But the story had a lot of economy in its dramatic arrow, and so we didn't want to. I think the filmmakers had to be very careful about portraying his madness because we needed to know that he was in the right, and so we didn't want to get too attached to these guys that end up getting killed either accidentally or on purpose. And so if I had any criticism, it would just be that his arc was maybe a little bit truncated or abbreviated, but still a great film.
Okay. So what did you think of Bruce Dern's performance?
Bruce Dern in Silent Running was right on the money. I can't think of anyone that could have played that. Well, with the exception of maybe like a Nicholson, or I don't know who might have played that.
By the way, John Malkovich, is a little known fact. He was one of the people in consideration for the part of Freeman Lowell.
I could see Malkovich.
He was unknown. He hadn't done a movie yet.
I bet.
Shakespearean actor. He was barely 20.
Must have been. I was gonna say he must have been 19 years old then.
And he always and this is true. He always regretted not doing that film.
I see.
Bill Bixby offered the filmmakers $3 million to fire Bruce Dern and give him the part.
Why Bill Bixby?
Because he figured whoever was in this film, their career was going to take off after this.
Oh, like what he went on to be a producer. You mean Bill Bixby from The Hulk?
Yeah.
Okay, so he went on to do production and film.
Yeah, but he figured this was going to be a hot property.
Yeah.
Whoever starred in this their career was going to take off, and he wanted it to be himself rather than Bruce Dern.
I see.
He tried to bribe him. He offered him $3 million to fire Dern.
Yeah.
But the filmmakers said no because they wrote the part for Bruce Dern to begin with. They didn't even want anyone else. I
think the role required an obvious edginess, a certain alienation, and a believability of being right on the edge of being able to snap. And I think he brought all those things both through his persona, his acting skill, but also his popular persona at the time was very believable. So.
Well, also they need an actor who could carry a one-man show.
That's true.
Which Bruce Dern did, which puts him on a higher level than most actors.
Yeah.
They say once you can show that you can pull off a one-man show, you've shown you're a first-rate actor.
Do you mind if I repeat that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the fact that Dern had to pull off the whole show after the other actors were out of the picture. He had to pull off the whole movie and carry it by himself, basically talking to these drones that, if I recall, didn't really talk back. They just kind of
they'd flash lights and make little
beep and stuff. So, the fact that he could carry that whole movie was very impressive. So,
by the way, some people have said that it's as good as a movie as Planet of the Apes 2001 Star Wars. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I absolutely would. I think those. You said Planet of the Apes 2001 and Star Wars are all very kind of subtly different, or not so subtly different, subgenres. They all kind of do slightly different things, but I would say as good as those, and also I would put it in the category of 2001 as being having allegorical elements, and I guess also Star Wars with its allegorical elements would be in there, but. Yes, definitely. Easily as good as those movies.